in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, nah, likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains, I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things, gonna make a f***ing name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain, I just wanna be greatness.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good to see everyone here. Been watching the chat for a few minutes before the show starts. You guys are quite entertaining.
Right. We don't even need to do a show then.
Yeah. I'm Mr. Mod and your bag of dicks. Hey, Big Bad Mama. Who else we got that's not in the room? I seen somebody else. Where was it?
Robin's out there.
Pepper.
Reggio's.
Mark,
Pepper, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Before we get going here, I'll give everybody who's coming a few minutes to show up.
Pepper.
And, talk a little bit about what's going on, what's happening, and all that. First, thank you to all the channel members. You guys are a huge help. In fact, this week you've helped in more ways than just financially. We're still working on the trivia thing. I think what you came up with. Sorry, I didn't mean to take that off. We're just going to go back to the old way for now and let it go from there. Everybody seems to just want to hang out and answer questions as they go, and hell with all the software and all that for now. We'll get there. We'll figure something out that works for everybody. But we also have tomorrow for the Matt Dillahunty show. I've mentioned a couple times that we're giving away shirts, and I've posted it and all that stuff. The way that we're going to do that, and sorry if this is confusing, but we talked about it last night, and think the best way to do it is by the way, here's the shirt. The best way to do it is, if you're a channel member, you're automatically entered for a chance to win a shirt. And if you are a subscriber and show up and watch the show tomorrow, you're entered for a chance to win a shirt. So that makes, if you're a channel member and you show up and watch the show tomorrow, you'll get 2 entries to win a shirt. And we talked about it and felt like that was the best way to hook up our channel members and still give everyone a chance. I don't know how many people are going to show up. It may be a lot. It may not be. I don't know. But also, everybody that watched Wavelength today probably knows about it. But coming up, they've got Professor Dave from the channel Professor Dave Explains going to come on the 17th at 4:30 and do the Deep Six thing with him, which has been a really fun and awesome show. So I just wanted to give them a shout out, and everybody go check that out. Now, also this same week, 7 days from now, we'll have Arn Ra on the show. And for that show, we're going to give away books, copies of Foundational Falsehoods of Creationism, and copies of We Are All Apes. So all that stuff coming up this week. This week is actually the 1 year that the channel has been making content. So that's kind of oh wow. Reggie has gifted 20 Kentucky Atheist memberships.
Always.
So,
that's the show, people. See you later. We're going to go out to a buffet.
That's all we need. We're done.
Hey, Joe, do you know? Can you read who got them? I can read them. I got them right here if you want.
Go ahead.
Trusty Ape, Boho, Shodan, Brandy. Why would Brandy get one? That's my buddy. she's a goof. James Nordoff, Lord Descent, Seif Science. Oh my God. Calicia 789. Yay. Dan Shire, Lo-Fi or Logan Fisher. Nara got it. Cosmic Kyle, the Critical Chronicles of some like symbol that I think it's satanic, but I don't know. Vesta, Richard Reynolds, Ryan Donovan, Susan Turpin, Bond the Builder, the Christian Carpenter, Jeff C., Mark the Rational, and that's it. And I still say Pepper Roberts is related to you, Joe. Hey, Pepper, good to see you again.
She's also from Kentucky, so.
Oh, Lord, so your cousins. That's a given then.
Yeah.
Half the people there are Roberts, aren't they?
No.
And the other half are Websters. And then the other half are Waffles.
No, only the ones that matter. Hold on, I'm trying to get to this. But thank you, Regios. That was awesome. You, Regios has Echo, maybe.
Echo.
Regios has.
That's fine to me.
Yeah, has gifted a ton of memberships on this channel, and I think that's the biggest all at once that anyone's ever done. Is 20 of them. But thank you so much.
Last night, out of the blue. Thought that was pretty cool.
And
nice.
Well, see what happens is like where Regios did that, and there's not actually even 20 people watching right now, and then some of those people are already members. It gives it to people who have been active on the channel recently. So even if you're not watching and you get a membership, hopefully it steers them this way.
Well, I'm here.
Yeah. So with that though, today we're talking to Mark Stoney, and how this conversation kind of came about was we were in a chat going on or whatever, and whoever was on the panel of the chat we were in, I think it was on Missing Mod's channel. It may have been somewhere else, but they were going on about hell and stuff. And me and you both kind of agreed that the Bible didn't agree with their idea of hell. And so you and I kind of got talking, and I was like, well, hey, I had done a video where I was, I don't believe that in any of it anyway, but I do like to look at things and say, well, hey, like this whole idea of hell that I was taught in my Southern Baptist church growing up, though, is nothing like what the Bible describes hell to be. And so seeing as a lot of us atheists have spent just as much, if not more time in some cases with the Bible as a lot of theists, we catch those things and we're like, hey, that's not what it says. So I figured you and I could talk a little bit about that today and whatever else comes up, I had made a video about this prior, and I don't think I ever did. I release that video? I didn't, did I? I don't think I did. But
I'm not sure.
I was asking Azo. He just.
Oh, sorry. I was over here doing my
job. You mentioned it to me, but I never saw it.
I don't think I released it.
Which one?
The video about hell?
No.
I think what happened was I made the video and then we did a live stream like the next day or something. And I was like, well, never mind that video. Let's just talk about it here. And we started to talk about it. And then as happens on this channel, it went somewhere else and we never really had a good discussion about it. But, so where to start? I guess, let's talk about the word Sheol, right? Wouldn't that be the place to start? The word Sheol and some of the ways it's mentioned in the Old Testament.
Yeah, so a lot of the times, especially in the King James, you're going to read the word hell. But if you go back to the original language, the word is usually either Sheol, Gehenna, or Abraham, and in Abraham's bosom would be counted in that. Sheol essentially has two compartments for where the dead would once sleep. That would empty when souls sleep, like they would remember no more. But there's two compartments. There's Abraham's bosom, which is where the righteous believers went by faith, and then there's Gehenna, which is compared to a burning trash heap. It's described as, that's kind of the definition of the word, and that would be what we would see as like Tartarus or hell with the fire and the complete despair. But as a preterist, I believe that hell has already been defeated. I believe it's been cast into the lake of fire. It no longer exists. And we live in a time now where we don't just go and rest and wait for the resurrection. We go straight to, either heaven or the lake of fire, which essentially amounts to complete destruction, annihilation. So I don't believe hell even is or ever was a place of eternal torment, because the very concept of hell comes from the word Sheol, which was part of the two compartments in this underworld afterlife. So looking in the context of preterism, hell's usually, it is very much so viewed differently than in like mainstream Christian theology. And I would believe that traditional concepts of hell as like a place of eternal torment don't exist anymore. And that has already been fulfilled, that defeat of hell and all that. It was the temporary place for the believers before Christ came and fulfilled the law and the prophets. So that's kind of my view. I don't believe that hell is in effect today, not in the sense that most people would comprehend it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I remember doing, excuse me, whenever I was looking into this, is I was like, well, let's go see what the translation is and what the word means. And Sheol was a word that had several different translations depending on the context you're using it. And it meant either the pit or the grave, or hell was a synonym for it, but that doesn't really tell you anything. And then there was words like annihilation and destruction and things like that. And it seems to me like the Bible talks a lot about the power of hell and it being a separation from God, but not so much the place of hell. And although there's exceptions, there's a couple small verses where they discuss it as an actual place. And whenever you talk about Gehenna, it's that actually refers to it's a metaphor for a place, I guess, because that's a valley outside of the city where they at one time had done child sacrifices and practiced different kinds of witchcraft and things of that sort. And so it was kind of like a shameful thing for the Israelites, the Hebrews. So whenever that was a word that they could identify with as a bad place, I actually read from a couple scholars that the part about it being like a burning trash heap was said throughout parts of the Bible and stuff, but they never really confirmed that happened there. But for sure, the past with the different religions and stuff doing sacrifices and stuff happened, which it doesn't matter. I mean, either way, it's they've seen it as a bad place. But I do get it's a burning trash heap and smells of sulfur and all that stuff, and that was kind of played into it too. So I don't think it really matters if it was or wasn't. I mean, the idea still works out the same. It's a bad place you don't want to go. And they because one of the problems with hell being a place, the way that the Bible reads is that if hell is a place, then God still has power in hell, right? So it's not it wouldn't really make a lot of sense that way. I don't think anyway. I mean, but for an atheist reading the Bible, we come across this issue where we have no choice in a lot of cases, unless it's like an obvious metaphor or something, but to read it literally, because who decides which parts are literal, which parts are figurative, and so that literal reading in most cases is how you have to take it, because you don't, who am I or anyone else to say what they meant when they wrote it thousands of years ago, other than the obvious things. There's obvious things where they talk about, they actually lay out the metaphor, especially in lots of the things with like parables from Jesus and stuff like that. But the whole misconception of hell, though, has been like a major part of Christianity, especially in the United States, and especially like religions like, or denominations like the Southern Baptists and stuff. That's pretty much all they talked about in church was hell.
Yeah,
they love that line,
fire and brimstone.
What was that?
Oh yeah, I said yeah. They preach that hell, fire, and brimstone down there in the Southern Baptists for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah. I agree with a lot of what you just said. Essentially, what it comes down to, even with hell being colloquially used to describe the lake of fire or Gehenna or Tartarus or what have you, I think it really does essentially mean the bad place versus the good place, heaven versus hell.
Right.
In our understanding. Yeah. But
now,
since we live in the New Testament age, Jesus Christ came to fulfill the law and the prophets, and the prophet said that hell would be cast in the lake of fire, which is utter annihilation.
Yeah.
Along with Satan and his fallen angels. I believe they're also in the lake of fire. I don't think Satan has any kind of power here on earth anymore. I think he used to. I think that God gave him a time where he had power, and I think we can look all through history where we see these legends of these demigods and these mythical creatures and gods, and I think that there's more to it, I think, than just a myth. I think that there was a time when there were demigods. I believe the Bible teaches that, and they were called Nephilim, giants, what have you. But I don't think any of that is in play today.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course we're going to differ on that, but I think that.
Well, I think we could agree that Satan and demons aren't messing around with folks today.
No, I do agree on that. I just meant with the Nephilim and all that. I don't think that any of that has ever been shown to have actually happened, or any real good reason to believe that it did.
No.
But that's when you're talking about a faith-based religion, that's kind of the thing, right?
Sure. And that's something I wanted to ask you, because I hear a lot of atheists kind of getting faith wrong. How do you define faith?
Well, I usually refer to the dictionary version, and I'll have to paraphrase it here. But words in the English language have different meanings depending on how they're used. And the word faith has a religious use, and then like a colloquial use, like my wife, I have faith that Azzo will show up for the show today. Like, that's not the same kind of faith. Faith, as far as the religious sense, seems to point to you believe in a God or some supernatural power based on doctrine and dogma rather than evidence, and even to go as far as say in the face of evidence to the contrary, that you believe that thing, and that's what I would call religious faith.
Right. Yeah, and I see you put in the chat Hebrews 11 verse 1, and that's the one I was actually going to go to, because that's really where faith is elaborately more defined in the New Testament, especially. I think it's one of the most comprehensive ways to kind of describe the Christian faith.
Yeah.
And it says, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, or the substance of things hoped for, depending on which translation you're reading, and the convictions of things not seen. And the King James is what I would normally follow, not because I'm like King James only. It's just the Bible I've read since I was a kid. I'm comfortable with it.
Sure.
So, like the assurance of things hoped for, this aspect of faith really kind of emphasizes on the confidence that a believer has. Like, we have this hope that's in Christ, that his resurrection is the definitive proof that he is the Christ. He was the promised Messiah, and he was the one that would bring salvation to the world. Now the evidence of things not seen, that goes into more like what you're saying, not having like empirical evidence, which if any Christian tries to give you empirical evidence for God, they're lying to you. They're being disingenuous, because we should know by our own book that God is a spirit, and you can't quantify or empiricalize a spiritual thing. It's intangible. But this thing, the faith involving this deep-seated conviction in the existence or the veracity of these spiritual realities, they're not visible to us. I would say certainly includes a belief in God, the effectiveness of his word, the reality of spiritual concepts such as salvation, heaven, spiritual beings, and the resurrection. And Paul goes even further in Corinthians and to emphasize the resurrection. If Christ is not risen, then our faith is in vain, is what he said. But we do believe that Christ was risen. We have eyewitness accounts from Scripture, and if you want to be critical of those, that's absolutely fine. I have been as well, but I've found them to be credible. But yeah, when we're talking about the secular understanding of faith, I totally understand why people say, "Oh, it's believing without evidence."
Right. That's a simple thought.
It's a matter of what kind of evidence you're looking for. Are you looking for circumstantial evidence, empirical evidence?
Let's refer
an alibi, that sort of thing. Go ahead.
Let's refer to the Hebrew word, because they use the word pistis, and and pistis is a little different, and in a way, kind of. A lot of apologists will refer to the word pistis and say it's a reasoned belief. They don't really get into a lot of what that reasoned part of it means in that sentence. But
I think pistis is the Greek word, is it not?
What is it?
Isn't it pistis the Greek word?
Greek. I didn't mean to say Hebrew.
Yeah.
I've been trying to work on putting together a thing to where I can go and learn Hebrew, and
good luck.
That's on my mind.
But you gotta read backwards.
What is it?
You got to learn to read backwards. That's going to be a tough one to break. Your brain doesn't like it.
I've talked to a couple experts, linguists and stuff about it, and they said it's going to be hard for me to do, but whatever. I'll give it a try, and at the very least, I'll better understand some of the translation errors and things. But I think though that when you're talking about faith, saying, "Oh, it's just believing without evidence," I think that's a simplified term, because I think that religious faith includes a whole lot more than that, because it's not just believing without evidence. It's believing in the doctrine or whatever specific religion you're talking about, and then what is considered evidence plays into that. And another thing that many atheists will do is say, well, there's no evidence for this and that, and it's not a thing of that there's no evidence. There is evidence for some of these things, some of the claims made. It's just that evidence is unconvincing as to the claim that's being made. It's not sufficient to make the claim being made in many cases, but that's, that plays right back into the hope for things unseen and all that. Which I know I butchered two verses together there, but I think that faith is problematic if you're. I mean, I understand you're not going to have empirical evidence for supernatural things as, evidence and the scientific method itself are a way of exploring the natural world. And, supernatural is just, asserting that there's this whole other world outside of, this world that exists. And I think whenever you get into all that, though, it's not just that there's not evidence for those things. There's no evidence for any of it. Like as far as the supernatural. And
there's a lot of things that we take on faith that have no what's the word? I just lost it. Numerical value to it.
Right.
Love, is one. Logic, laws of the logic we believe, we can't really. We understand it, and we can certainly ascribe to it. We can identify, whether something is logical or not. But logic itself is intangible; it's something we just know.
Well, the laws of logic and things like, and I've heard math and numbers and all kinds of things like that used too. The laws of logic, though, are tools that we use to look at the way we think and stuff. But when it comes to logic, there's those basic presuppositions that you have to accept to move outside of hard solipsism.
Yes. So we talked about that the other day.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things with that, though, is like those things, though, like love, love sure is an intangible thing you feel, but it's also something that you experience, and there can be evidence for someone's love. Whereas whenever we talk about supernatural things, just the way they are, defined, there's not going to be anything that points to those being true outside of this, whatever doctrine proposes it. And, that's where you hear a lot of atheists go into, well, just because your book says it doesn't make it true, which isn't the best thing to say either. But
yeah, I think taking an honest look at scripture, there's plenty in there that's just obviously true. As far as the spiritual stuff, I mean, children, obey your parents, for this is good.
We had that before.
That's true.
that precedes religion.
But my point is that there is truth in the Bible, whether you believe in the overarching theme of it or not.
Oh yeah, sure. There's real places and actual events that happened that are talked about in the Bible. But whenever you look at the way that the people wrote things at that time, you have to look at the whole picture and the context.
Sure,
that is at the time that the Bible was written, the way that people were taught to write fictional things was you take real stories and then you embellish them and add to them in order to make a fictional piece out of it. And that's the way literature was done then. So the fact that there's real places and real times and real things that happened in the Bible doesn't do anything to support the other stuff that's in there with the magic and the supernatural and the things like that. And then also there's the problem that there are things also in the Bible that are absolutely false. So there's
such as
what is it?
Such as
that we all came from two people, that there was a worldwide flood, the Exodus, that zombies got up and walked around town, that there's all these things that there's the zombie thing walking around town, maybe not, because there's, just because nobody wrote it doesn't mean it didn't happen. But there's just these things that there's no evidence to support where there should be evidence.
Sure. Well, a few of those things, I believe we've got the date wrong for the Exodus. I believe it was in the time of the Hyksos. And who was it? Inspiring Philosophy did a really good video on that would be worth watching. As far as the worldwide flood, I think we have to take into consideration, like you were saying, how they wrote and what they understood when it was written. You would not be able to convince an ancient person that the world was a giant ball and there were other lands that have never been explored by their societies. You'd never be able to convince them that. So when they're saying things like the whole earth, the whole world, and stuff like that, they're only talking about the areas that they're known, that are contemporary to them. So their countries, maybe their region, a continent at the most. But there's a reason why when we discovered America, we called it the New World, because it was unthought of that there were other lands on the planet that were as much as what they had already known, which was essentially Asia and Europe. Now, and Africa, of course. Now, as far as what was the other one you said?
That we all came
and it's like one topic at a time.
Yeah, that we all descended from two people.
Yeah, I think that certainly has some merit. I mean, even from an evolutionary standpoint, there has to be two reproducing pairs. No, so asexual. So humans at some point were asexually reproducing.
No. Evolution refers to populations. It doesn't
sure
to like just a parent and
right.
But it doesn't require asexual population, because even evolution is a continual thing. And I don't know your stance on evolution and all that, but
it's observable.
Yeah, the evolution though continues to this day, right? So whenever we have children, they are born with, what is it, 140 mutations on average, or something? There 100 and some odd mutations. There was never a time when like the first two people were born. That didn't happen. It's just slow changes over time, adaptations that support whatever population in the environment that they're in. They continue to keep those, and that gets into stasis and all that, which is part of evolution. And so you adapt to your environment, and we're continually doing that. So there was never like, oh, there were apes, there's people. That's not the way that evolution even poses that it worked.
Yeah, I don't believe that we came from chimpanzees or anything like that. I've fallen more in line with the cladistics teaching of evolution. It makes the most sense, and I don't see how that necessarily conflicts with special creation. I mean, I am a creationist. I do believe that God created the heaven and the earth and everything that is in them. I do believe that humans were created specially, and not only are we very unique from the rest of the animal kingdom, but we're also special in the sense that we can dominate the whole world. I mean, what other species besides us could dominate the world the way we have?
Well,
even though everything out there seems to want to kill us, from diseases to insects to lions and tigers and bears.
So one of the comparisons I make, and this is just me, is like a RPG game, right? So evolution has so much resource to work with. And if you take and make brain size bigger and make your brains more powerful, you have to take away from somewhere else to do that. So whereas we have animals that can detect north and migrate without a map and do all these neat things that different species of animals can do, we have intelligence as our thing. And so I don't think that really us being the top predator, or however you want to put it. I don't think that really speaks to anything special other than than our intelligence. And I think intelligence, if you look through, especially like the hominid species, you see the different hominid species, you see this coming about from old world monkeys and great apes that we share ancestors with apes today. I think you see that the brain case gets larger, and the brain gets larger, and it's not just that the brain gets larger, it's that it gets larger in relation to body size, and that seems to give us an ability to expand intelligence. And you get this I mean, when you apply evolution to it, we're exactly what you would expect us to be. And evolution wouldn't allow us to begin with a population of 2. Now, when you apply genetics to that, also, geneticists will tell you it's impossible that we started with a population of less than like 5,000, I think is the number, because the environmental pressures and things just wouldn't allow for us to propagate that way. Well, I'm trying to think of where to go with it, because like I said before, it's not that I didn't know your stance on evolution, so where to start with it is a thing. It would do no good for me.
I don't really argue against evolution. I see it as fact. I see it as the way that species adapt to their environment. And if it wasn't for evolution, we wouldn't have animals on this planet, because the environment changes so much over the eons that it would completely wipe every creature out in a given area. And if it continues to change in other areas too, then what do you have? You got nothing.
Yeah.
So evolution, the environment puts pressures on our populations to make us better, in a sense, or more fit. Not better. Better isn't the right word. Just more fit for the environment.
Yeah.
But here we are as humans. We live everywhere in every environment and complain about it no matter where we are.
Well, we have the ability and the intelligence to adapt our environment to our needs, rather than us adapt our needs to the environment. Like
right.
And whenever you take as far as environment goes, like natural environments, humans wouldn't hardly make it in any of those. We're not designed well for the desert. We're not designed, and when I say designed, I don't mean designed by a creator. I just mean our design, how we're made, isn't good for many of the different climates on Earth. And also, since human evolution has since we departed from our common ancestor with the apes and things, those climates and the different areas of the environment have changed a lot. I mean, there's been ice ages and lots of different things occur. So I would also say that just that evolution doesn't allow for something like coming from just a population of 2. Genetics doesn't allow for it. That doesn't mean you can't invoke miracle and special creation and say, that's the case. But at the point where you invoke miracle or supernatural, there's really not a whole lot else we can say other than that violates the natural laws that we see. But that's what miracles, in a sense, are, right? So
miracles are unexplained by natural phenomena.
Right. So, and back to the flood thing. Again, like you can say, well, maybe it was a local flood, and to those people, they thought that local area was the whole world.
Sure.
Well, the description of that flood in the Bible, though, doesn't match up to that, where it covers mountains with so many feet of water, and I get that maybe that's just the fictional part where they've expanded on the story.
Look at it this way: our Earth is covered in 70% oceans, approximately.
Yeah.
And we have on record, thousands, if not millions, of craters from asteroids impacting or meteorites or whatever impacting. Some of them are tiny, some of them are huge, some of them are really big.
Yeah.
But we don't see all of those craters. We only see about 30% of them. So that tells us that 70% of the impacts throughout Earth's history have been in the ocean. So, I mean, imagine...
Well, tectonic plays into that, too.
Yeah, sure. But also imagine the biggest impact, the biggest crater impact we can find on land, throw 10 of those or 70 of those in the ocean, and you could have a pretty dang big wave that could go over some mountains.
Yeah,
it's possible.
I don't.
Even the crater they think they wiped out the dinosaur, and in north of South America, ginormous. They don't even think
Chicxulub or whatever it is,
more than 200 or 300 feet, which is a big wave. Don't get me wrong, but that doesn't do anything for, say, like Mount Kilimanjaro if it was here at the time, or Mount Everest, on and on and on. Which to me they work. Mm-hmm. I guess the one thing I've missed, Mark, are you a Yekker or not a young Earth creationist?
I believe that the heaven and the earth were created with age. About maybe 10,000 years ago, we see the age.
Okay, so you're young Earth.
I am a young Earth creationist.
I didn't want to.
I am a young Earth creationist, but I believe.
Let me just announce this real quick. Regios gifted 10 more memberships. Thank you, Reggie. When this show started, we had 35 members, and Regios alone has now made it 65 members. So
nice.
Thanks, Regios.
Go ahead, Caesar, not Sean. I'm not even going to try to Libin, Wordig, Shidiki. Got one.
This is making up names now.
This is Jones, Adrian Tautu. If I ruined your name, I'm sorry. Steve G, and Rollett. Actually, then Alan Cannon, and then Aurora Boxuk. Remember, I'm from Indiana. We don't know what English is yet. We're still catching up.
That's what they gave me.
I want to give the German name a try. Lieben Schwürdig usual.
Yeah.
Schmuzel.
Also, I seen
close enough.
You tried it. I couldn't. I took German for 2 years.
Outcast in the audience a minute ago. Check your email, Deviant Outcast. I've been trying to get a hold of you. Sorry. Go ahead, guys. Or do you want me to jump back in? And
go ahead.
We're not trying to team up on you, Mark. It's not one of those.
No, I don't feel like you are at all. This is a friendly discussion.
I'll go for clarification myself.
I try to be as charitable and kind as I can when talking about these things, because I grew up a young Earth creationist myself, and was that way until my mid-20s. So I do understand that. I do understand parts of it and things, and I get it. My thing is that, and again, if you think that the Earth was built with age in it, then like some of the dinosaur bones we find and stuff were put there. Why do you think we would need to be deceived to believe that? Like, I feel like that makes the natural world a big deception.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if you read scripture, and I do believe the Bible, I'm a Christian, so obviously I believe the Bible. You find in 2 Peter chapter 3, it says in verse 5, it says, "For this they are willingly ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water." So what that says is this creation had age from day one. There was the creation, and it looked billions of years old. Just like when Adam was created, he was not an infant. He wasn't born. He was made, and he was made a fully functioning adult man.
Yeah.
And that's the biblical belief. Now, as far as how deep that goes into allegory, I can't really say. I do take it on faith. Absolutely, I would say that. But I'm not going to try to give you evidence for this stuff because it doesn't exist. It's a fool's errand to try to provide evidence for these stories.
So when we find things in the natural world that contradict the 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 narrative that the Bible gives, then you're okay with asserting that God may have just done it that way, and we're fooling ourselves by even trying to look.
I think it's God's prerogative to blind some people's eyes to the truth.
Yeah, but further than that, to demonstrate a different truth.
Sure, yeah. I don't think that there's any reason for Christians to try to deceive people by saying that, this is the definitive end all be all explanation of how it happened. Because I don't think any of us can read a text as ancient as the Old Testament and be able to understand all of it and what it all means. Because like you were saying, in the ancient times, they used allegories, they used hyperbole, they used extremely elaborate stories to relay a truth, not necessarily the events that happened.
Right.
But I do believe that the earth was created with age in a not so billions of years distant past, but I also believe that it's supposed to look old. It's supposed to look like a fully developed and mature creation. And what we have from that is the process of evolution. And we can observe that and test it and demonstrate it over and over again. I used to fight against that, but I've been presented with so much evidence and so much convincing evidence that it's like, okay, well, that's real. How does this work with my faith? And that led me to more in-depth study of scripture, and especially in finding this 2 Peter chapter 3 verse. It's like, oh, and it just was a light bulb. Oh, it clicks. It's supposed to look old.
Yeah.
So being said, I don't see any reason that creation and evolution are necessarily mutually exclusive. I think they work hand in hand.
Well, one of the big things that, and I get into this a lot just because it's kind of a newer thing that I've been, I don't know, privy to, I guess, or that we've discussed recently that I found really convincing to me, is this problem of deception. So whenever you say that the earth that we look at deceives us in its natural form, like you have those two things. You have to assert that God made it that way, and God, being all powerful, could have made it any other way, but chose to make it in a way that deceives us when we look into it. And then whenever you go and apply that back into the Bible, it seems that God takes part in a lot of deceptive things, or at the very least, you can't prove that we're not being deceived by that. So if I go ahead and give that the supernatural is real and that a God exists, Satan exists, all those things, then you have to look at what the Bible actually says about those things. And we'll start with a little bit about Eden here and walk through this path. And you just tell me what you think of it.
A real quick clarification. I don't believe that Satan exists in any way, shape, or form today.
Well, okay, that's fine. Or Satan did exist, right?
Yes, at one time.
Okay. And I really just want to walk through this with atheists to see what you think about it. So in Genesis, the whole basis of Genesis is that God creates this perfect place for man, creates, Adam names all the things, wants a woman, God makes a woman, all that, then we're in the garden, right? And God says you can have any of this stuff, you can eat of any tree you want, just leave this one tree alone, and if you do eat of this tree, you'll die. And I think you and I actually discussed this surely die part, to where it's like you'll eventually die. But yeah. The serpent comes, talks to Eve, and says, "No, you're not going to die. You'll be like God. You'll be able to tell good from evil." And they eat from the tree, thrown out of the garden, the fall, all that, right? So in that, it seems that again, I know that we've talked about the language there and that there may be a translation problem, and I'll fully accept that. But we'll get into other things that apply to this too. It seems that, dying 500 years later isn't really it doesn't really make sense to make that threat of when you say you will surely die to mean you will surely die in 500 years as opposed to you will live forever. And for a God that knows everything, that God would have to know that mankind is going to be more than two people, and their kids. So it gives the appearance anyway on the surface that God was the one being deceptive in that case. And as we move forward through the Bible, they describe Satan as being the lion who is how do they say it? Satan is a lion that waits to pounce on you, essentially, and talks about Satan's ability to masquerade as an angel of light and to deceive man, and that Satan has the supernatural powers to at least appear as powerful as God. And then we go to the fact that man's able to be deceived in this way seems to be a problem from the get-go anyway. But whenever we talk about Jesus coming, and Jesus, one of the first things is he violates, at least on the surface, seems to violate the first commandment, which is have no other gods before me. And Jesus says, no, you can only get to God through me. So I am the God before that God. And I know the Trinity is a complicated thing there, but I know that's the excuse made for it anyway. But the apologetic.
Well, I mean, it's the only explanation for what's in Scripture.
It's the only way that'll
3
work.
in 1.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't force that on it, then you do have that issue.
Well, I believe we're a trinity, a trichotomous being. We have a body, a soul, and a spirit. With our body being the obvious flesh and physical nature we have, our soul being our personality, our character, and our spirit being that mysterious life force that drives us and propels us and gives us our experiences.
Well,
that we can
I think
experience through these. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that we can agree that one of those three things exists. Now, as for the other two, there would have to be some reason to think that that's the case. And as I get through, and I'm sorry that I'm rambling through this, I wasn't prepared to even talk about this today. But if Jesus was actually the devil or a demon masquerading as an angel of light, how would we as man be able to determine that? And I know that Jesus says you can test me, but as humans, in what way could we test a God that we would be able to comprehend even that we're not being deceived?
Well, I don't believe it's a deception. I believe it highlights God's natural laws, because what we see in nature is consistent, and it wouldn't make sense for it to begin as, a very immature creation, and then suddenly, here we are in this life-sustaining earth by some random chance.
Yeah. Well, later in Revelation, they describe God as being the lion that comes to take people. So that is a very simplified version of that whole thing. And someone like Jimmy Tux is definitely better to talk about this. But all I'm getting at here is that the ability for us to be deceived, which is if we're given that a supernatural God made us the way we are and could have made us any other way, made us with this built-in ability to be deceived by not just supernatural things, but by each other. The Bible talks about even even the elect can be deceived by demons and the devil masquerading as an angel
it
of
doesn't
light.
say they can. It said if possible, it would be such a strong deception that it would have deceived even the elect. But we know
Well,
that the elect
that means that they're
survived 70
capable of
AD
it.
because we still have Christianity today.
Well, that
That's
just
been
means that
passed
they're
on.
capable of being deceived.
Oh,
just
yeah,
the same as
absolutely.
everybody else. And it means that they're capable of. We're also capable of deceiving each other. We demonstrate that. So all I'm saying is that if that's the case, and we see this deception, and even going back to your point of view that maybe the way the earth is made deceives us when we go to look rather than just accept God or whatever. I think that then you have to say, well, these things seem to point to at least the possibility that man was deceived by Satan, and that it's even possible the Bible is written by Satan. And
I don't think somebody would write himself as the bad guy.
well, if his intent is to deceive, that's exactly what he would do. He would
No,
say
it's very clear that Satan is the enemy of God in Scripture.
I don't.
Only
If he
in
was
the New
being
Testament. You
deceptive.
can't find that in the Old Testament anywhere, and I'll challenge you that all day long.
Oh, well, he's certainly the accuser of man.
Right. Okay, that I agree with it in the Old Testament, but to me,
Yeah.
from an atheist point of view, the devil, Lucifer, whatever, hell even, is a man-made concept from the New Testament and nowhere found in the Old Testament. And I've been
Lucifer is only found in the Old Testament, and it's not even talking about Satan.
right. Well,
It's talking about the king of Babylon.
the accuser,
Yeah.
and that's what you get in Job. A proof of what
Yeah.
so-called Satan or the devil is nothing more than an accuser. He doesn't have
Yeah.
powers. He can't do anything on his own. He
And
can't come as an angel of light. None of that. And that's
let's
all New
expand.
Again, the angel of light is still that's basically the same as Lucifer, the light bearer. Again, that's found in Isaiah chapter 14, and it's very clear in the context of the chapter that it's not talking about Satan whatsoever. It's talking about
right.
the king of Babylon. It's a taunt against him. Yeah.
But in the New Testament, that's
So
everything
let's
about Satan,
expand.
especially in Revelations. How do you know that the devil is even real in Revelations when Revelations is both literal, metaphorical, prophetic, on and on sort of thing. To get a doctrine out of that just kind of amazes me at times.
Yeah, it's a weird book to be added into the Bible.
Right, Mark. I agree. I understand that. I'm talking from somebody that thinks Satan, Lucifer, and the devil are all the same
Revelation.
person.
Yeah.
Just study
Yeah.
the Satan. And better yet, go to Dan McClellan's. I mean, he's a Mormon. People don't like that so much, but he's quite spot on and honest about a lot of what's going on there. He speaks a lot about the Satan.
Let me expand a little bit into why you would think that this is the case. So, going back to the beginning of the Bible again, now that I've kind of laid out some of the groundwork, God seems to tell Moses, these are the commandments. Of course, there's two different sets, but that's neither here nor there. But he says, thou shalt not murder. Then immediately tells him to go murder everybody around him.
Well, that wasn't murder. That was it. Justified killing, and they were commanded to by God, the ultimate just being.
But if
It wouldn't be murder.
That this is a case of this fits the narrative of deception, though, because
I don't think so.
these are the rules that are laid out, yet then man is told, oh, it's justified for you to go kill these people. But these were literally written in stone commandments that they're told not to violate. And the first thing that happens after that is go violate these commandments in this way. And it's not just the murder part. In that part where they're commanded to go and destroy all these other tribes because they believe something different.
It's not that they believe something different. It's that they were murdering children. It was actually Jews were actually thought of as weird because they didn't kill their kids when they had too many, because that was the common practice in the ancient times. You're only allowed to have so many kids, so you kill the rest of them.
Parents?
So just the tip is okay? That was a joke. Sorry. Sorry.
What did they do to children that disobeyed their parents repeatedly?
Who?
What did God tell them to do?
To not spare the rod.
Well, once the laws are laid out, they can be stoned to death.
Oh gosh, I didn't know that.
There's parts where God directs them to kill babies too. In fact,
where in Scripture does it say you can stone your children? I am not familiar with that at all.
In the laws for not obeying the laws, that was the punishment if you couldn't obey the laws. It wasn't. Anyway, forget that because I can't quote you a verse that's in. But also, God tells. But if the problem is that they're killing kids, God tells them to go kill all the little boys and all the children. God in another part tells them to dash the babies against the rocks. So to say that they're not killing children, they killed more children this way. That actually resulted in the death of more children. So I don't.
Sure. Well, the societies that they were removing were already practicing child sacrifices.
Well, I mean, is it better that they sacrificed 1 or 2 kids, or that the Israelites killed millions?
I don't know how many they killed, but I'm sure it was a lot. Yeah, I'm sure it was a lot, but I mean, that's war. That's what man has been doing from the beginning of time.
Well, I mean, in war now, we try not to kill women and children. That's
we do. The United States. I mean, even though we try, we still manage to do it somehow.
I mean, other than in, well, I won't go down that road, but I mean, it seems to be though that God didn't have a problem with killing children because He directs them to kill all kinds of children. So
I found the passage you were talking about. It's in Deuteronomy chapter 21. It does say to stone that child, but if you read it in context, He's saying this son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He is a glutton and a drunkard. So this doesn't apply to us. Obviously, we're not Jews. This law was not given to us. But for the Jewish society, if you had a child that was an insult, a dishonor, a shame to your family, that's how they dealt with it. Like this guy was a drunkard, so he's obviously not a child. It's a son, but he could have been of drinking age. I mean, I don't know many children that are drunkards.
Well, there wasn't a drinking age per se then, was there?
Well, sure, but children, I don't know if they allowed kids to get drunk or not, but I would assume not. That's an assumption on my part.
I think the Bible was against anybody like getting drunk for the sake of getting drunk, right?
Yeah.
But also like whenever you talk about these laws or we're not a Jew or whatever. And I know that later in Romans, Jesus says something about fulfilling the law and all that. But what
we still have to honor the laws of our land.
Jesus plainly tells them in the New Testament, though, that you're not to disobey the old law. You're to obey every iota of the old law.
Where does it say that?
Give me a second.
Just a second.
I know it says this world will pass away.
I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle shall in no way pass from the law till all be fulfilled.
Right, and Jesus fulfilled that.
Can you show me
later in the letters, they claim that Jesus fulfilled that, but Jesus never says that.
They did.
Jesus says, "I'm here to fulfill the law." But then says this doesn't mean that you can disobey the old law. You're to obey every jot and tittle in some versions or iota in other versions of the King James. No,
we can't obey the law. That was the point of the law, to show us that we couldn't keep it and show us that we're in need of a savior, a Messiah, to fulfill the law for us. Now that doesn't excuse us and give us a get out of jail free card for violating the laws of the land, the 10 commandments. I mean, those, I think everybody can agree to the 10 commandments. Don't kill, don't steal, don't commit adultery. Yeah, I get that, but the moral laws, the 6 moral laws, how we deal with one another, everybody can agree to that. Now, the first 4, that's, obey God, no idols, etc., etc. But we all agree it's not right to lie. It's not right to commit adultery. It's not right to murder.
But those things
We
weren't
agree on
right.
those
That's
things.
what could be subjectable, Mark.
And there are exceptions, yeah.
You know, and then also, I mean, and not, this is what kind of gets me at times when I get into discussions about this, but in one side of your mouth, and I don't mean this negatively, that's the way I can describe it, you know, hey, so the theist coming out of me, you know, one side of your mouth, you're saying that doesn't apply to us because we're not Jews, but yet you're going to go to, and actually, I think that the 10 Commandments are in Exodus 34, but another 20, but those were clearly given to the nation of Israel, not the Gentiles.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't apply to us just the same way, as you said earlier, that wouldn't apply because we're not Jewish.
I'd like to see anybody keep the Jewish laws.
Are we under
even Jews today don't keep the Jewish laws.
Levitical laws?
Say again?
Are we under the 613 Levitical laws as Gentiles, for argument's sake?
Absolutely not.
Okay. No. Now, okay, which is in the Panache, Panache. I'm an idiot. You know, but
you got
here we got
the Torah,
the same wording,
the first 5.
the 10 commandments, the so-called, they're not even called 10, or the 10 commandments, they're called the 10, saying that these were given to the nation of Israel. God didn't care about the Gentiles in most of the New Testament.
Right.
You know, so which is it? Does it apply to us since we're not Jews, or does it apply to us because we're not Jews? I mean, and even Romans, I believe 10 talks about it, you know, the Gentiles being grafted in, so then they would be under the same law per se as and I forgot what the Jewish laws for the Gentiles who converted. It's called something, I can't remember. You know, sort of thing. So you can't have it both ways, Mark. It's either one or the other.
I'm not trying to take it both ways. I'm trying to explain that no, we don't keep the ceremonial law. We don't keep the ritualistic stuff, the dress code, the dietary laws. None of those are applicable even to Jews today. Now, as far as what?
Those are applied. Half my family is Jewish. The other half's Catholic, and I'm the atheist.
Do they wear mixed clothing?
The law. They don't do.
They wear mixed fabrics.
And a matter of fact, they go as far as having inventions, so they don't even have to dial a telephone on the Sabbath. So yes, they do still follow them today.
Do they wear mixed fabrics?
No, Orthodox Jews don't.
Not at all.
No. Interesting. It's kind of hard to do in this time and age.
Yeah,
no, they can't possibly keep all of the laws. It's absolutely impossible. They don't have a temple.
Well, right, but you're actually hitting on something that kind of important here. So I do think that what Jesus is describing is they came to a point to where a lot of these laws were becoming hard for them to keep, and by sacrificing Jesus for people's sins, it avoided some of the other ceremonial things and the sacrificial things that they were doing. For Christians anyway, not for the Orthodox Jews. So don't blow up on me, Azo. But I
understand, but still,
I don't think that anybody who says that they take the Bible literally actually does that. Any group, but it does seem like that. I mean, Jesus. That's one of the things, because Jesus very rarely says anything in plain. In I don't want to say plain English, but he very rarely just states something outright. It's always a parable or a riddle or whatever. But one of the things that he does say in the New Testament is that you are to obey those laws. And I get, like, once the crucifixion happens for Christians, that changes some of that stuff, because the ceremonial stuff and there's no longer a need to sacrifice animals and all that shit or stuff. Sorry. And I kind of get it, but at the same time, the laws part where they lay out these are the laws in Deuteronomy, I think that I don't think that Jesus excuses that at any point. And saying I fulfill the law doesn't really mean anything. There's no mention in those laws until someone says they fulfill them. So
well, Jesus, he said, "I came not to destroy the law and the prophets, but to fulfill." And you actually misquoted from Matthew chapter 5. It says, "For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled." I believe all that has been fulfilled. I believe it's all been fulfilled. I believe that we are in the new heaven and new earth. I don't know if you've read my little scroller with the verses, but that's a very, very shortened version of my eschatology concerning the laws and everything. I believe it's all past. I believe that Jesus fulfilled the law and the prophets. I believe that 70 AD was the consummation of all of that, where the temple was destroyed and the law made void. There was no way anybody could keep the law in perfection without a temple, because the temple is an integral part of keeping the law.
Well, I mean, maybe it just demonstrates that there were problems with the laws made.
They were impossible to keep.
Right. So
nobody could keep them.
So God was wrong for making those laws and telling.
No, not at all. They actually asked for it. They asked for kings. They asked for laws. They asked for all this stuff.
Man did.
Yeah. Well, the Jews, Israel.
Right.
Is that why they were so shocked when Moses came down with the 2 tablets and they were doing stuff they weren't supposedly supposed to be doing, that they didn't know they weren't supposed to be doing?
They already knew they weren't supposed to be creating idols.
Where?
I mean, that's a given.
How's that given? They didn't have the law up until Moses come down.
All right.
There's also an argument too that bulls are
unless it's in there somewhere. I've yet to have a Christian tell me that.
God,
I'm sincere. Yes, it's there. Tell me before, but
is the bull, but that's a different thing. Okay, I mean, I from what you're saying though, and one of the things I always say on this show is that I never talk to 2 Christians that believe in the same thing.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're able to rationalize that,
I hold that up. My views are very, very different from most Christians.
I agree, and that's okay. I think that honestly, your views are, at least you've tried to find a way to rationalize them. I think there's a big old precept there that's keeping you from really using a rational way to approach them. But that's kind of what religion is.
Everybody does things that are irrational.
Yeah, of course.
I've done much more irrational things in my life.
No, I don't think that your position is actually as bad as most. Honestly,
I agree. I think that a lot of Christians use scripture to bully people, and I think that's abhorrent.
Yeah, and I mean, you do understand, Mark, that it's not like we're hating on you or anything. Like we don't hate Christians or believers in anything. It's just sometimes you have to have a little back and forth to really understand how they're interpreting this, because again, I contend that they all believe something different and they all define God into existence their own way and all that. So I'm open to somebody demonstrating that I'm wrong about that, but it's just a way to discuss these things. So how would your interpretation of the Bible and Christianity itself, you're aware that differs a lot from anything I've ever heard, for sure, but
sure,
differs a lot from most Christians.
I'm aware of it.
How sure are you in your interpretation? How much do you feel like that you're probably you're getting it right and all of them are getting it wrong?
I don't like to look at it that way, because it's not me that's getting it right or wrong. It's just what's plainly written. I believe the entirety of the Bible was written before, and I'm not talking about, the Tanakh, the Old Testament. Obviously, it was written before 70 AD, but I believe the entirety of the New Testament was written before 70 AD as well. I get a lot of flack for that, because most scholars say it was written under Domitian in the 90s AD, but I don't see a way to rectify that with passages like Revelation 17, or is it 17:10, where it says that there are 10 kings and 5 have fallen and one is, and then I think that if you line up the Caesars of Rome, starting with Julius Caesar, you can track that to Nero being the one that was alive at the time of the writing, because it says that one is. and that was the sixth king or the sixth Caesar, which was Nero. He died. Then Rome was sent into a year of civil wars, 3 consecutive civil wars. Finally, there was finally a new Caesar in Vespasian, and his son Titus would also later go on to become Caesar, as well as Domitian. So you've got your 10 kings there, and I believe that in that passage, what is pointing to the man of lawlessness, or what people would call the Antichrist, it was describing Titus, the son of Vespasian. And I've gone into a whole spiel of how that works out with Scripture and with the secession of the Roman imperial cult and whatnot, and the dynastic rulers of Rome. But yeah, I think it's unavoidable that when you read the Bible, you get a sense of imminence, that things are about to happen, things are about to shake up. And I think the error that most people make when they're reading the Bible is they are applying that imminence to our time, to today, when it's not. This Bible was finished writing before 70 AD. The imminence that's written into Scripture is pointing to the destruction that came upon Jerusalem under Titus's armies in 70 AD. And I believe that was the culmination.
In the Bible as to today, it's all already came and went. It's historical, even Revelation.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that what applies today is like Revelation 13:14. It says those who die in the Lord and Jesus Christ will rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. That's being with Jesus for believers. That's ceasing to exist for unbelievers. I believe that's all we have left. And ultimately, physics and the natural laws point to an ultimate heat death of the universe, but even that's billions of years off in the future, time that we can't even conceive of.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I've been in a relationship that felt like they were billions of years.
Me too, brother. Oh, man. But yeah, I realize that my beliefs are very different. I think I can justify them more clearly than most Christians can their own, because I think a lot of Christians are deceived, and not by the word itself. They're deceived by people who preach Scripture for personal gain and notoriety and money. And that's where people's deception comes from. But if you guys would just read the Bible for what it is, for when it was written, for what it's about and who it was for, I think it's a lot more clear in that manner, instead of trying to apply it to me and my day, my time.
Yeah.
Kind of a narcissistic thing to do, if you ask me. Oh, the Bible's all about me. I'm David. I'm going to go slay Goliath. No, you're not.
Yeah. Well, I think that the way that, I think whenever you do it that way, though, for most Christians anyway, that would excuse them from even listening to what the Bible has to say, and without the threat of eternal damnation and fire and brimstone and all those things, the promises don't hold.
I think everybody ultimately gets what they want out of life. Those who want to be with God, they enjoy Him here on earth. Those that don't want to be with God, they don't enjoy His grace and peace here on earth, and neither do they in the afterlife. Yeah. It's just, you get what you want. If you don't want God here, you won't want Him afterlife either.
So since you think it's all historical, though, don't you entertain the possibility that maybe it's just these people believed that, like that it's none of it's really true? Don't you at least have to acknowledge that that's a possibility?
Well, sure, it's a possibility, but the way that the Bible came together, we're talking about a book that was written over 1,400 years on 4 different continents by over 40 different authors, and it still tells a cohesive, consistent story. I don't see that happening without there being some kind of inspiration, some kind of objective thing that they're writing about.
Well, I think that as to the Old Testament, and I mean, I think that the Jewish people openly admit to this, that it was generations of stories that were passed down that were eventually put into some kind of order and written as one whole big story. So I mean, of course, that if that's the case, then they're going to write it in a way that kind of follows through some sort of order of events. And as for the New Testament, I think that even, like even most scholars would agree that it seems like they're the for the first four gospels anyway are just they're the same story. They're copied, and not necessarily copied word for word, but they seem to just be a retelling of the other story that was read before. And the way
Sure.
that
There's a lot of recapitulation in Scripture.
Well, I'm just saying that the Bible, as we know, wasn't one book. It was a collection of books, and we have a group, the Catholic Church, who was done some really horrible things, and especially at the time that this went on, the Council of Nicaea and stuff, they chose to put the books in that order to tell a story. So saying that it follows a story and that story makes sense, well, I mean, you would expect that if they're trying to use it to control and to threaten people with hell if they don't do as I say. I think that makes more sense, actually. And from a historical point of view, like for a historian looking at the Bible, I don't think that the major events in the Bible can be considered historical, even if you can say they may have happened or whatever, and that's, if Christianity is true, they had to have happened. But like, I don't think you can make the case that it's historical in that sense. So I think that saying that, well, they wrote this cohesive story that makes sense, because it reads from beginning to end like this. Number one, I think you would expect that, and number two, the major events in it are not, or at least it's not right to say that they're historical events. As a Christian, you have to believe they are. That's kind of like the exegete thing, but like I don't think that I don't find that surprising or convincing in any way, is all I'm saying. And as an atheist, I'm sure you understand that. But me as an atheist, you can understand why I don't find those things convincing. But
oh, yeah, I totally get it. I didn't always believe myself. I always thought it was just some kind of story that was made to make us behave as children. But in my adult years, I see that it's so much more than that. That's like a teeny tiny part of the Bible is making your children mind. But my parents used it. My grandparents use it. You're gonna get your butt whipped if you don't listen.
Denominations, because they all pick which parts hold more water for them, and which parts that are figurative and literal, and that's why you end up with 40,000 denominations. And for me, looking at that from the outside looking in, if the Bible is the inspired word of God, and it's this perfect being inspired it, then I would think they would have done a better job of that. And again, also with the thing, whenever you think about God is given these properties of omniscience and omnibenevolence and omnipresent, that God, you have to then say, well, God could have done these things differently. And if God could have done them differently, then God chose to do them in as horrible way as possible. Which to me is a problem, especially for the benevolence. So you either get to where, if this God has these omni properties, he can't. It's a contradiction for that God to have all three of them. It just doesn't work. But again, that's from the outside looking into it. but I used to be a Christian, so I mean, at the same time, I get like you're taught these stories and you're told to believe them and you whatever, but it's I don't know, it's a hard pill to swallow these days.
Yeah. The Bible that I learned as a kid, the Bible I was taught as a kid, is not the same Bible that I've studied as an adult. Huge, vast amounts of differences from what you learn in the little Sunday schools and
Yeah,
the youth trips and all that to what I know now. What I know now, it's nitty gritty, man.
I don't think the Bible is fit for children, honestly. I think some of the stories.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah,
I'd have to agree entirely.
Let's
talk about Bathsheba. Yeah, go ahead.
Spooky just got here. We need to start all over.
All right, that's fine.
Start over. This way you can correct your number of books total. We'll act like never happened. You idiot.
But
my name's Joe from the Kentucky Atheist, and we're going to have Stoney here today, and this is my sidekick, asshole. He's the important one. Yeah.
Okay.
And
I'm Mark Stoney, and I'm wrong.
Of course. There's only one person wronger than you, Mark, and I'm taking your side this time. MM's worse. I can't. I got to be nice to her because she made me some avatars, and I love them.
Oh, cool. Cool. Very cool.
Anyway, we can kind of
damn.
We can kind of voyage, out of arguing about the different things in the Bible or whatever, because we both know, like, you believe it is and I believe it isn't, and that's really where it stops. I've been familiar with you for a number of years, Mark. I've actually followed you for a while.
Oh, cool.
Well,
thank you.
I'm a weirdo like that. I've been sitting outside Azzo's window for a year now, and
and he keeps asking for my dirty underwear. I don't know if he wants to clean them or smell them.
But I recall
some Christians in here.
In fact, I recall back whenever you were a fan of Kent's and all that, and
wow, you've been following me that long, huh?
Well, I just number one, the name Mark Stoney, I just kind of liked it, but
strong name. It's a strong name.
But
it's
also whenever
name.
I first became an atheist, Kent Hovind was like the loudest voice in the creationist movement, So I had heard Kent talk about you, and I'd seen you in chats and things like that. Professor Pants, a friend from Kentucky, that state is quite sucky. But I had seen some of the things that went on and stuff, and heard the stories and this and that, and seen, there had been a lot of arguing and stuff. And then I was also a fan of AJ's at one time, and you were kind of active through there.
AJ is a good friend of mine.
Yeah, and
not mine.
And so, and actually, you and Big Bad Mama both were on AJ's channel a lot and stuff, and so I'd heard some of your positions and things, and I just started doing my channel a year ago, so I haven't. There's tons of people I haven't got around to talking to that I want to talk to, but I'm glad that we got.
You're doing good. You got Matt Dillahunty coming on tomorrow, and you got Aaron Ra. Those are some big names.
Yeah, they were, honestly, it has nothing to do with other than, I sent the email and they accepted.
Yeah. Very cool.
And yeah, it is cool. I'm excited to talk to Matt. I'm going to bring up some of the deception thing I talked about today. I'm going to bring up some of that with Matt, not quite in such a rambled way, but but I want to ask Matt, why we don't hear more people speaking about that, because it seems to me to be like a bigger issue than it's made out to be. I think like people argue about the problem of evil and stuff like that, and the problem of evil isn't all that great, I don't think, but when you combine it with the problem of deception, then the problem of evil makes more sense. I just wonder why I've never heard it from any of the atheist crowd that I've watched over the years. And it may just be, he may just tell me because it sucks. But you know, I'm just but yeah, I'm excited to talk to Matt and Aaron. I'm really excited to talk to Aaron. Aaron's been like my atheist dad for a number of years now, and whether he wants to be or not. Like I told you, I'm a weirdo. I sit outside.
Yeah, he'll be drooling that whole thing and acting like a schoolgirl. Nothing against schoolgirls.
I think I'm going to dress up like him for it.
You going to grow some hair?
Yeah, I'm going to put on a long black wig and a big mustache and
color it.
Nice. Other than my white trash.
What more do you need?
A
few dogs.
And yeah, no, not really. I'm not going to do that. But I thought about doing it on Halloween. I was going to dress up like Arn Ra, but then I ended up talking to Robin about magic and stuff, so didn't do it. But,
and then he's afraid to walk outside in Kentucky and get shot at because they really thought it was Arn Ra, except shorter version.
I've had Aaron on my channel. He did an interview with Professor Pants, who's in your chat right now.
Yeah, I've seen that.
He's a guy that said, I'm a little brown myself. Did y'all see that? Oh my goodness, that was hilarious. I'll have to link you with that video. It was a good conversation.
Aaron is a lot of fun, no matter who he's talking to. I mean, at least he's game for having fun, no matter who he's talking to. Aaron's thing though is you set him in a direction and you let go, and he takes off with it. You know, like he's very good at that. So
lots of knowledge in that man's head.
Yeah. And when it comes to things like evolution and stuff, he did the work. You know, he went and learned all those things about phylogeny and cladistics and all that stuff, so that he could have a better understanding of it. So I like looking at Aaron's voyage. It's a good one. But
oh, kitty. I love cats.
Where the hell did
bar hopping last night? Guess what I brought home?
Oh boy!
This girl's been
accidentally locked.
She's 13 years old. Been through a lot with me. It wasn't for this little girl, I probably wouldn't be here. Literally, a lot of surgery.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know,
my little
accidentally locked one of my cats in the closet all day yesterday. I thought she'd run away, but she was just
go ahead.
Quiet and happy.
Yeah, our cat was. We had two cats that were quiet and happy. Mom accidentally didn't know they were in the dryer, and they went.
Oh no!
One survived.
Oh no!
That
hold on, guys.
Yeah, my mom closed one of our wiener dogs in a family Suburban on a hot sunny day, and it cooked. And funny thing, hot dogs, just like wiener dogs, they plump when you cook them. I actually said that completely backwards, but yeah, he got cooked. Oh my goodness!
I've always wanted to hit that button. I got it.
That was awesome.
In a dryer.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, by the way. I'm going to call my mother on speakerphone here, and we'll talk to her. This should
all right.
Oh Lord, Lord.
Just since it's Mother's Day.
Yeah. His mama go, oh, Mark Stoney, I know him. Tell him I said hi.
Can you hear that?
Yep.
Hello?
Oh, hey. I was looking for Mom to tell her Happy Mother's Day.
She's in bed, Jeff.
All right. Well, I'll try to get a hold of her later then.
All right, bud.
All right. Thank you.
All right,
bye. Well, I figured she'd answer.
She's in bed. All right.
Yeah. Mom has cancer, so she's
oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
Well, it's a thing.
Yeah, it is.
So her hours aren't always normal. But yeah, I had asked her to come on the show for Mother's Day, and she refused.
Oh, yeah, I don't think my mom would join my online shenanigans either. I tried to get her to watch one of my streams, and she's like, "Nope, I didn't see it." Thanks,
My
Mom.
mom still hasn't determined the difference between a podcast and a stream. You're in there on the phone? No, Mom. Oh, you're podcasting now? No, Mom.
Yeah, moms are great.
Have you seen my phone? No, Mom.
Yeah. I mean, my family has a weird dynamic because when I was younger, like my mom left for a couple years, and so we've never really had a real strong relationship. Like I still love my mom. She loves me. I care about what goes on with her and stuff, but we just don't talk often and things. And none of my family does really. I haven't. My sister actually moved back to Kentucky from Las Vegas here recently, and she didn't even tell me she did it. But
Oh my.
yeah. So my sister also has cancer. She
You better put that cigarette down. And I'm not saying that just because I smoke too, but if it runs in your family, buddy, that ain't helping your chances.
I do want to quit smoking, but for the longest time I was like, dude, I kick heroin and all this other stuff. Like, just let me have my fucking cigarettes. Like, yeah, I get that. But cigarettes are the hardest thing I've ever tried to quit. Like,
try quitting sugar.
Was easy. Yeah, sugar's a bad one too. Sugar.
Oh my goodness, sex. That's even harder.
Go do a study on sugar.
Wasn't by choice.
Come back and tell me it's okay to eat it.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're addicted to it.
Yeah, definitely. They put sugar in everything now, like spaghetti sauce, everything.
Oh yeah, ketchup has more sugar than you would think.
Sugar and chili? Yeah, that's not how you make chili, dude. Stop.
No, we got what was it?
People who put sugar in chili are
variety
insane.
of chili and it has sugar in it. It's like, no, I want hot sauce. I don't want beans, just hot sauce.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because beans isn't a chili.
Yeah.
Or macaroni, I guess. Sorry.
See, now chili here in Kentucky has beans in it. That's part of it. But I get that authentic chili doesn't. We make a lot of things weird here in Kentucky. But hey, there's some good food in Kentucky. That's how I got to be a 300-pound lard ass. But
where else can you get a good home cooked possum pie? Freshly
possum pie, yeah. Now, see, I've tried
Louisiana, you sure can.
I've tried possum. I don't like it. I think it tastes like greasy rat meat or something. But people eat raccoons and shit here too, and they're nasty. But I've never tried raccoon. Now snapping turtle, I've ate a lot of snapping turtle. That's fucking awesome. That's good stuff. And of course, like all the wildlife here, I've ate all that, like deer and turkey and.
That answers that. My mom won't come on either. I just asked her.
No.
Maybe I should say a stream, and she'll say, "Okay."
I talked to your mom.
Yeah, just go to stream.
Yeah. Usually she'll be in here trying to embarrass me and shit. It don't work. I embarrass her. She won't go to Walmart with me hardly. I act gay, and I'll act like a 12-year-old. Or even like a 6-year-old. I want that. Mom, I want that. Mom. And she'll finally buy shit I don't want. Just get me to shut up.
I forgot I was supposed to come on the channel one day and show people how we made breaks in prison. Like how we cooked food in prison. I forgot people asked me to do that. But yeah, we got good biscuits and gravy and stuff here though. I can make some damn good biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, they do what they call chili in Indiana with pasta too.
Whenever I was whenever I was in the hospital, I was in a place in Kentucky called Fort Thomas.
I thought it was
directly across from Cincinnati. I could see the Cincinnati skyline, and skyline chili comes from Cincinnati, and chili there is used like chili spaghetti is a big thing, and You put chili on spaghetti with cheese and onions and hot sauce, and that's how they eat chili. So it's different everywhere. It's weird, even within the state. But yeah, I'm into a lot of Southern food. I like things like chicken and waffles. I like grits. I like hominy. I like a lot
You're
of those.
making me hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spooky. What ketchup has is what's that high corn fruit syrup or whatever,
High
fructose syrup.
fructose corn syrup.
That shit'll
Yep.
kill you. That's what I had to cut out of my. Once I cut that out of my diet, I don't eat a whole lot of ketchup. Mustard I
Yeah.
love, but yeah, that stuff isn't very good for you to begin with. Like what is it, red dye number 99 or 69 or
Well,
420?
I grew up on a farm, so we canned and pickled a lot
I
of
live on
food
one.
too. Joe, sex or cigarettes? Which would you choose? That's a hard question.
Sex while he's having a cigarette, or a cigarette while he's having sex?
I mean, I guess I would. Which one do I want to keep? Sex, I guess. As long as
smokes
Big
too,
Jim
right?
and the twins continue to work. But I'm getting to be an old man now, though. So
Oh yeah, just because you're losing your hair don't mean you're getting old.
well, I feel like the heart surgery made me older. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my.
It took some years off my life for sure.
Try battling cancer since 05. Then you'll feel old. I'm like 59 going on 150.
And the motorcycle wreck aged me a little bit too.
Oh, God.
that was
Had
a
a
good
few of
one.
those.
I'm just gonna stop complaining in general. I haven't had it near as bad as you guys.
Well, no.
Yeah.
When I started
Knee
feeling sorry for
surgeries.
myself, Stoney, I just sit and think, well, at least I'm not Mark Stoney, so I got something to live for.
Well, at least I'm not vaccine, so
Sorry, I had to get jab in there for MM. You know that.
yeah. Thank you. That was a good one.
Are you coming to the after show over at MM's?
I might. I got to get some food for me and my daughter, and I really don't have anything else planned other than obsessively waiting for the UPS guy to show up.
Yeah. I actually
Sunday?
don't have a pacemaker now.
Oh, not UPS, USPS. Yeah,
Oh.
on Sunday. It's out for delivery right now.
Wow. Yeah, every once in a while we have UPS out when they're really busy or when they're really short-handed, but my
Yeah.
mom gets 15 packages a day, I swear. If you've seen her rooms, you'd say, where does she have to
crazy.
put all this shit? And she's like
Oh
me.
man.
She needs a new toothbrush. She'll buy 15 different toothbrushes just to make sure she gets the one she might like and not go to the store and get it. And then complain when it gets here and goes, well, that's not what I ordered.
My mom's a big home shopping network.
Oh, my mom used to be. I used to,
Yeah. So I had a pacemaker whenever I had my surgery. I had a temporary pacemaker. There's electrical leads that come out down like below my rib cage. And I had a temporary pacemaker that I had to like carry around pretty much. And they were going to put in a permanent one, but like literally when they came to get me to take me for the surgery, they decided not to put in a permanent pacemaker. So I still have the electrical leads because eventually I'll have to get one, but so far I've avoided it. And I think like me working, cutting grass and weed eating every day helps me, honestly, even though like a lot of times like the cardiologists are like, you do what now? And I'm
Pay
like,
the bills is
yeah,
what
yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah, but
You're
they
paying
don't
the
tell me I
bills. That's
can't.
important.
They just say, well, if you're doing it and not having problems, I know when to stop is the thing, and I have to take blood thinners every day because I have a mechanical valve. So I have to be careful doing that kind of work about getting cut and stuff. But because
Now, how old are you?
I'll be 42 in July.
Okay, you're not that much older than me. I'm 37.
Yeah,
Got 5 years on me.
I had heart surgery 3 years ago.
Oh,
But mine was, I had an infection that got out of control, and I didn't know I had an infection. They told me it was pneumonia, and it wasn't. And so like I was septic for like a month, and that ate 2 holes in my heart and destroyed my aortic valve. And so I had to have surgery to replace the valve and cover the holes. I mean, it's just, it's I do have to say, because of my drug history, though, they wouldn't give me any pain medicine other than Tylenol. So that made it horrible.
Oh,
But outside of that, like it was, I mean, it sucks for sure. And it still sucks now. I still have like, because my rib cage moves where it's split and like, you know, there's different things I deal with and stuff for it, but it's not like, I don't know. I just go on and do my thing like I did before, and
that's all you can do.
yeah. I mean, there's so many things that happen that I'm lucky to still even be alive. So I don't really. I talk about it some, but I don't really focus on it in my day-to-day stuff. But yeah. I one thing that heart surgery made me feel though is like the old people, like the 90-year-olds that have open heart surgery and stuff. I feel for those people because that's gotta suck. It sucked being like in somewhat decent shape and young having it done. I imagine being old, it's a million times worse. But
yeah, Dad had a double lung transplant, and they go in through the side, so they cut the ribs.
yeah.
And when I was doing CPR on them, I was breaking everything, and I was so spazzing out when I went to what was it, IU Hospital in Lafayette, where they St. Franciscans, whatever it is. When I was talking to the heart doctor about, I'm sorry if I did damage, and he goes, basically, if you don't break something while you're doing it, you're not doing it right. But it's like I don't want to see you if they have to do CPR on you with your heart surgery.
Can I show it?
It's awful.
There's the.
That should get you nightmares. To tell you the truth.
They my scar.
Yes.
But the it's they super glued my chest back together, which is weird. I mean, I've got metal in my I've got like wire wrapped around my rib cage, essentially holding it together.
Ooh.
But
did it put staples in it then glue?
No, they used glue on it. But now
the only thing I can think of is if in case they had to go back in. But see, I got 30 staples in my gut. Give or take.
Wrist, if you can see where they went through my tattoo.
Yeah,
they put staples in it, but they didn't in my chest, which is weird. I tell you what sucks, having a oh shit, what's it called where they go in through your groin and up to look at your heart.
Scope. Is it a scope?
It's a scope, but they take you. I'll tell you a couple things that suck, but they take you in and they strip you naked and lay you on a table with your legs spread, and they take a big old needle thing, a catheter is what it is. I guess it's a heart cath, right? But they
that's what Dad had.
They go in through your groin and run it all the way up to your heart, and they give you like a little bit of medicine to like keep you chill or whatever, but you're awake. And they do it local, so you don't feel it, or you feel the pushing and stuff. But man, they push hard too, and it's a really uncomfortable thing to do. Like you're just laying there naked, and 5 people like playing around in your groin, like not fun. They also, there's another thing they do where they go down your throat to look at the back of your heart
for the echo. I've had that.
Yeah.
Camera.
Yeah, they stick a camera down your throat. Now, for that, you're supposed to be asleep while they've actually got it down your throat. But
swallow.
They knew that I was a drug addict, first of all, and that at the time I was taking Suboxone. So they knew that they needed to give me more medicine. Well, right before they did it, I heard 2 of the nurses talking and saying, "You better put your gloves on. This is going to be a boxing match. This is going to, angiogram." And I woke up in the middle of it though, and of course choking because they had a camera down my throat. And so yeah, that one sucked. That was rough. I was like so sore I couldn't move and stuff for a couple days after that. But
to me, what sucked is that stuff that they shoot down your throat that you're supposed to it's like numbs your throat. At least for me, when I did mine, Well, and they gave me a glass of water so I could kind of rinse it out a little bit. So I spit this stuff out thinking I wasn't supposed to swallow it. And they said, no, you got it. So I had to do it twice.
Yeah, that's
and then they have to time it where they're starting to put the camera in and then do your sedative or a local anesthetic, then you don't feel nothing. But thank goodness I didn't wake up. That's my big deal with all the colonoscopies I've had. I've heard horror stories of guys waking up with the camera still where it shouldn't be.
Yeah,
it's like, no.
I had a colonoscopy.
People get PTSD from waking up in the middle of surgery and not even remember it.
Hey, the worst experience I had medically though was that wrist I showed you. Whenever that's from a wreck on a bike, and they so in the ER, if they can avoid it, they don't want to put you to sleep because then they have to have an anesthesiologist and they have to watch your breathing and everything else. So what they've started using when they set bones is ketamine, and ketamine is a psychoactive drug. So what they do is they just give you so much ketamine that puts you in a K-hole, and then they can set your bones, and there's no inflammation, and you don't react because you're so out of it, you don't even know they're doing it.
Yeah, you don't even care.
But they don't have to keep track of your breathing and stuff when they do it this way. So in the ER, a lot of times they'll do it. Now, I told them never to give me ketamine again. That was the worst experience of my life that I still have flashbacks of. And I used to eat all kinds of acid and mushrooms and shit, and I don't have any like lasting effects from that I know of anyway. But the ketamine thing, I still see and have dreams and certain things like I come across out in everyday life. If it reminds me of that, it like fucks me up for a minute. But yeah, they can keep ketamine. I don't ever want that again. That was scary.
I've probably torn my ACL in my knee more times than any other human being on the face of the planet. I've had 4 surgeries to fix it, and it's currently torn again. And I am not going to have surgery. I'm just going to wait till I can get a total knee.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the worst of mine. I've had a couple other minor surgeries, but nothing on like hearts or organs or stomachs or anything like that. You guys, man, y'all are troopers.
Well, I mean, you don't really have a choice when it happens,
Yeah, I guess not. As are you, Flat Earther?
Mr. Murphy, we're sorry to tell you this, but you've got terminal cancer and probably 3 to 6 months to live. And the whole surgical team was crying because of me. Because I'm just, and later on, my mom told me the story. I asked my surgeon later on. I said, my mom has a tendency to exaggerate. And he's like, yeah, they were all. And I said, why? He said, because you're so. Put it this way, they did my first colonoscopy when they first figured out I had all these polyps. And I talked through the whole local anesthetic. Anybody that's ever had a colonoscopy knows, they start the anesthetic and then you kind of wake up a little bit slow, but it's not it takes hours to recover from it, sort of thing. The nurse goes, God, Ron, do you talk all the time in your sleep even? I said, I don't know why. She goes, you were talking during the whole procedure. And she said, I've never seen this before. And I said, did I say anything bad? She goes, oh, no worse than normal. I said, oh, then I'm good then. But yeah, they were out there crying and all that. And then I found out like 3 weeks later, it wasn't terminal, but yeah, live your life for 3 weeks. It's like that song.
That's going to be terrifying.
Dying. So pretty much ever since, that's kind of how I've lived my life.
Yeah. Well, we never know when we're going to go. That's for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, my dad went we never even thought he was going to go that night. Had no clue. And boom, it happened. Well, he didn't go that night. He had his heart attack. I revived him. They brought him to the hospital, but I try to see where mom's at because she kind of still, but I think he was gone, when I revived him. But they did that catheter on him, dropped his body temperature to 34 degrees. And they were supposed to do that for 2 days. And when they brought it right down and brought it right back up, I knew something wasn't right. Then he lived like another 3 days, and then he passed on a Friday, and this all started on Sunday night.
Yeah.
No way. Spooky, you got it. Oh, my God. You enjoy that kind of thing, I guess is what I can say.
What?
No, not judging, Spooky.
No thanks.
They knocked me out with Versed.
Yeah, Spooky has no right to ever make fun of anybody again, even Mark or a religious person. If he can do a colonoscopy without an anesthesia,
I can take it.
Friggin' nuts.
Yeah. A colonoscopy, like I had a colonoscopy and an endoscopy, and That's
Yeah,
not
I had both.
that's not anything. Like coming out of that, the only weird part about a colonoscopy is you're trashed and then you fall asleep, and when you wake up they tell you to fart a bunch. And like that was
I've
the
never had to
only
do that.
Really? I had to
No.
lay there and fart for like 15 minutes before they let me leave.
Well, it is Kentucky. They're
Yeah.
probably thinking it was a symphony or free concert.
Well, they pump your stomach full of gas, or at least they did mine, in order to do what they were doing, and then they.
You sure they didn't do an
So-
upper on you? But even then, you shouldn't. I've had both uppers, lowers,
Yeah.
or is it flexoid? Was it phlegmoid, sigmoid? When I had my blockage, I've had the colonoscopy. I had the other one. You said, and then all my uppers I have
Yeah.
once a year now. It used to be every 3 months. They used to do an upper and lower. Now it's just once a year. Thank goodness.
We're grossing Robin out.
Oh, it's called life. We've been
I'm
through
about
it.
to have to go. I've got food heading my way. I'm gonna eat
Okay.
my kiddo
Well,
and
That's
Don't
cool.
forget,
Well,
she
Mark,
gets $20.
thanks for coming and talking to us. And
yeah, man, it was a good time.
Yeah.
I'll work with you and have you on again sometime, because I think
Sure.
there's plenty more for us to discuss.
Yeah, he told me he's gonna make sure I'm on vacation for that day, though.
We kind of jumped around and stuff, and I think
Everybody's been warning me about Azo, and dude, you're not nearly as bad as people make you out to be.
Give me
like
a
a good
reason
dude
to,
to
and I
me.
will, to be honest. But
Yeah, sure.
you know,
Oh, that's
it's like
fine.
Daniel. I was cool with him for a while up until certain topics. I do get triggered. I'm not gonna, but it's usually like women, animal, children abuse, or just plain friggin' stupidity.
Yeah.
But I like playing the fool a lot, and what I get more than anything is, well, you're intelligent when you want to be, and there's the key words, when I want to be. I try not to take this too serious, because then you take it personal. You take it personal, then you start your fights and your dumpster fires. Whereas you and Joe had a great conversation. I threw my 2 cents in so my head wouldn't explode. Everybody gets along, and I spent most of my time trying to make.
Well, that's why
behave,
whenever I talked to Mark in the chat that day, that's why I wanted to have him on, because it was like we had a conversation about something, and it
Hey,
wasn't
Thomas.
hot.
It's a Tomas. Tomas?
They're gonna be out front.
But
All right, guys. Well, my DoorDasher is here, so
okay, cool.
thanks for having me on. I look forward to coming on again. If you guys out in the chat would like to check out some of my content, my channel is just my name. So I do streams every now and then. I'm planning on doing one soon. It's just been a while. I take breaks every now and then from it.
Is it Mark Stoney or Cult Leader?
Cult leader.
Yeah, I heard that from somebody. I can't remember.
Oh
who.
my. Yeah,
No,
that's
I'm kidding,
kind of
I'm
derogatory, but
I'm kidding.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It was fun.
Yeah,
So-
thanks, Mark.
Yep. Take care.
Yep. Bye, Stoney.
So I'm just kind of filling in time until Missing Maud gets her thing up and going. But let me put Mark's Missing Maud got that for us.
Yeah.
Mark Stoney 44.
Well,
That's
she should have that all handy.
But
He's an
so
asshole,
before
but I
we
got the
go,
link.
tomorrow's the big day, huh? We got the big guy on tomorrow, Matt Dillahunty, and I'm really excited to do that show. And I know you are, and I know Robin is, and
I'll probably have a heart attack 20 minutes before it starts, but don't drool.
I hope all of you, come and join us for that. I think that having Matt on is Matt's great no matter where he's at, and him coming here to visit is just going to be cool. But hopefully he brings some snakes out, and we get to talk a little bit about what he does and him, and giveaway. We got the giveaway going on, and now we have 65 names that are going to be automatically in the pile. And then everybody that shows up and stuff, your name will be added, whether it's already there or not. And just a fun thing to do while he's here, just to support what he does and show that we like his stuff and things by giving away some of his stuff. Robin is actually the one that is doing that, and that shirt costs $30 if you want to go buy it. So
More than 30.
Give Robin a big thank you for that. She does a lot to make this channel an awesome place. Robin's also, we're both throwing in and buying books, but for Aaron's visit. And I'm not sure how many books we're going to give away yet, but we're going to give away more than one copy of each. I know that much. Whether I do it on my own or Robin helps or not, I'd already planned to give away 2 of each anyway. But
well, if you want to give away more, I can always give you some money to get some more.
Yeah. we're the last giveaway we had. Where's it at? Well, I thought it was right here. Anyway, the last giveaway we gave away Dave Warnock's book to promote Dave's Patreon and help Dave out who needed care at the time, and we had those books and Robin shipped them to the people that won, who was Ember and who won the other one? It was what's his name? Daughtry, Chris. But anyway, these we're going to pick winners and then we're going to order them and have them shipped directly to you. So you'll get these quicker.
Trust me.
Yeah. Cuts out the middleman.
Because I got Dave a present because of what happened a while back as a thank you thing. And I got it sent to me, sent it to Captive Desk or Dave. It took over 2 weeks to get from Indiana, just west of Indiana, to I believe he lives like near Toledo, where I'm not going to dox him.
That box of stuff that
Justin
Yahoo sent me, it took forever to get here from Canada. It was in customs for like a week.
I bet you got yours quicker than Dave got his.
I did. It still was only like 10, 12 days, something like that. But let's do some shilling.
Send him some money.
Let's do some shilling and then go hang out with Missy Maud. What do you say?
That sounds like it.
All right. So everybody knows tomorrow, Matt Dillahunty. Hold on. Let me get this thing off the screen here.
Oh, sorry. I'll get this off. I didn't see you do that. My bad. There you
go. Tomorrow, Matt Dillahunty. I love that thumbnail pic. I like that. But tomorrow we got Matt Dillahunty coming on, and I've already told you we're going to talk about several things and stuff. We're going to give away this shirt, the In-Boss shirt, which I think is the coolest shirt on the line merch, actually. I really like that shirt a lot. And check out our friends over at Wavelength. They're having Professor Dave from the channel Professor Dave Explains Friday the 17th at 4:30 p.m. That's a different time than usual. So catch them then for the Deep Six with Dave. That ought to be a blast. I don't know if they're going to have a fourth guest on.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, but that'll be an awesome show. I think Professor Dave is great for that kind of thing.
Right. But Grace will be on for that one. Is who I thought of right away.
If you want to continue, listening to my nonsense and Azzo and hang out with us, shoot on over to Missing Mod's channel, and we'll be over there in a few minutes to hang out and do the after show. I didn't actually even know that this after show was happening, but I guess it is. So we're going to do that, and anybody that wants to hang out, come over there and hang out with us. Anything else trivia on Wednesday, right? We're going to go back to the old way of doing trivia on Wednesday, and we'll work it out from there with the audience, because that's really what we want to do, right? We want to make it the way they want it.
Yeah.
So we're going to start over instead of trying to test new things and everything. Kahoot's really cool. I like it.
It is. I like it, but
it would be those things would be fun. Even the other thing that you've already paid for would be cool to just every now and then play with on there. You know, just
I got 3 more actually.
Yeah,
I got 3 more credits. So I'm going to decide whether I want to try just use the 3 credits and say screw it, or just not worry about it because it's only like $10.
We could. Why don't we go look at it and see if there's something else? Because that live reacting thing, you can do all kinds of different stuff. Maybe there's some other use we can use it for.
Right.
But it's on you. Whatever you want to do. Trivia is totally Azzo's thing. He makes the decisions. He does it. It's he has access to everything I have access to, and he puts on that.
I don't have access to your window. I don't
interfere. When I interfere with things, they get more complicated, not less. So I let him do it. But is there anything I'm missing? I don't think so. I think that's all of it. I would tell people to join as a member, but I think Regios gifted
Got
more
everybody.
people than
The people that are no longer on YouTube, you got.
yeah. Here pretty soon, Matt Dillahunty will be a member because he came on the show, so it'll automatically make him a member.
Oh, that'd be funny. Be Aaron
Yeah.
Raw and
Yeah,
Matt.
yeah, that would be cool. So that's one thing I want to talk about with you guys while I've got an audience here is, we you guys know that there's memberships and super chats, and I've got a Patreon, and you can support the channel in a number of ways. There's I've got an Amazon wish list that people want to buy stuff to help me set up my studio. That would be amazing. But
Sound tiles.
all of those things. Of course, I appreciate anybody that does any of those things. But for the shows coming up with Matt and Aaron, I have to do this because I think there's going to be an audience, and I think we're going to get a lot more viewers for those shows. So everybody is welcome to ask questions or say whatever you want to say. But there's going to be so many people trying to say things that Regios super chat for $10. Thanks, Regios. You're too nice for real. It's you've been a big supporter. I really
you adopt me.
you.
You got money of some sort. Can you adopt me? I'm cheap.
Yeah.
Just buy me a pony and I'll be happy.
We were talking about Regios on Beck's stream last night. I got invited to come on Beck's stream and talk for a little bit, and everybody was talking. Beck was talking about how Regios is the one that like made him want to keep on doing it because he
And that is so true. I am paying you people to come to trivia.
Yeah, I mean, kinda, but I think it's awesome that you do that, though. That's a lot of fun. If I could do it,
there is one change, though. You guys, it's not a big change necessarily, but Beck has volunteered to help me when I need it. I've got MM. She's supposed to co-host. I don't know if she's still going to do it or not. I'm sure she is. She could be like between co-host and the Googler. And when Michael N comes on, he's going to either Google or be my co-host. And then Beck's going to come on to keep score. So this way, if anybody really cares who won, they'll know for sure. So that takes care of the score problem, sort of thing. But all three are still eligible for the gift card or to even play at the same time, unless they're doing the questions, know the answers sort of thing.
I'm the only one that's not eligible to win the gift card. But
I can win it. I should have been putting my name in the whole time.
yeah.
Well, I got $50. What the hell do I do
now? I wouldn't want that anyway.
I wouldn't do that anyway.
Because I actually offered to find a way for the channel to
open to bribery.
But if the channel did it, we wouldn't be able to give away as much as you do, and that's why. I wouldn't care to give it all away, but it just doesn't amount. By the end of the month, we'd be in the hole because the channel very rarely makes $100 a month.
That ain't that much. Let's look at the big picture. And I just don't look at the big picture. $25 a week, and that's all I need to know.
That's $100 a month.
Thank you. Thank you for telling me this. Next, you're going to be telling me it's like what, $1,100? No, not even that. 25. Oh, my cat's getting sick. That's great.
I feel you, Regios. I got two of them.
I'm not even going to try to do the math in my head now. Sorry. I got
a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and kids are expensive. Even when they're not, they're expensive.
Yeah. Like I told Mark, they get more expensive the older they get. Don't let them
the
lie to you.
schools nickel and dime the shit out of you. They want
you
to buy.
This one just all at once. I need $100. Well, go get a job.
Yeah. No, man. Like 3 times a week, the school sends home something wanting $5, $10, $2, whatever. And my 5-year-old eats nonstop, man. And he's a little guy. He's not filling out. He's getting taller though, so at least it's going somewhere. But but for the shows with Matt and Aaron, we're gonna have to prioritize like super chats. So if you really want to make sure you get to ask your question or comment or whatever, send it in a super chat for those shows. I don't care if it's a small super chat or a big one or whatever. I'm just saying we may have to do it that way to make sure that we can prioritize it and get people's questions in. I'm gonna, whether you send a super chat or not, if you send a question and tag us in it or whatever, I'm gonna try and get through all of them. But I imagine there's gonna be more than we can. that's why I said we'll prioritize super chats for that. Usually I don't do that on this channel, you know, like if you guys want to help out, whatever. But, you know, it is what it is. All the links for all my stuff's in the description. You can do all that. That's up to you. I don't care really. I mean, it goes back into the channel one way or another. So, luckily Justin bailed me out with this camera I'm using right now, so I quit using my phone to do it. Although my phone had a better picture. But anyway, if you guys want to continue, go over to Missing Mods channel and see us. I'm going to shoot over there right now.
I don't think she's up yet.
Oh, well.
I'm looking.
Yeah.
Matt's on the Sunday show with Seth Andrews.
What?
On the line, it's Matt Dillahunty and Seth Andrews. She said 15, not 15 hours, didn't she? She got to put makeup on or something? Come on, scroll it, roll it. Unless somebody else got it. My internet's slowed down. Okay, yeah, it didn't pop up on mine.
You know that thing that happened that I had to, you know, the thing that happened here recently.
Oh, the surprise?
The thing with the guy that happened. Beck just messaged me and was like, "Holy shit, I didn't know this stuff. You know," and I was like, "Hold on, just hold on."
Oh, you're talking about the shitty guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you were talking about the hit and run dude, or whatever it was.
Anyway, I guess that's all we got for today, guys. Thanks for coming, and I'll catch you over at Missing Mods whenever she gets it up and going and stuff.
At least on mine, she's still not up. Oh well.
Well, maybe she's
I gotta
waiting
grab a sandwich anyway, or I'm gonna die.
But later.